Okay, the president's threat today that Iranians will be, quote, living in hell if the Strait of Hormuz is not reopened tomorrow. The previous posture of the administration seemed to be that they wanted to avoid the mistakes of Iraq and not take out civilian infrastructure, not take out civilian leadership so that they could do a Venezuela and just swap out leadership and get to the oil. If we are crossing that line, if the president's threat is credible and we are crossing that line and knocking out infrastructure and doing those things, does that suggest that the strategy for the conflict has changed?
Yeah, well, it's very troubling. They say over and over and over again that we're going to learn the lessons of the prior wars, and then their actions seem to show that they've learned absolutely nothing about the lessons of the prior wars. And this is but one of the latest examples. And I think the real challenge now is, how do we get to where we want to be on this war? What does success look like? I think most people would say that success looks like a fundamentally changed Iran, that Iran no longer is a hostile threat force in the Middle East. I just don't see a path between all of our incredible military accomplishments and that outcome. And the cost has been really high to the global economy. Certainly, we've seen it here, with gasoline up over $1 a gallon. But in parts of the world now, they can't get access to gasoline at all. This is having a profound impact on the economy. What is going to force Iran to change their behavior? When I agree with your previous guest, what Iran wants to do is survive and be able to inflict pain on us. And that's a very low bar. As capable as our military is, to completely break Iran was never really realistic. So if we can't completely break them, what is going to force them to the negotiating table? I don't think bombing their infrastructure does that. That simply hardens the Iranian people in favor of their regime and against the U.S. So I think it's a step that would make it harder for us to achieve the objective that we really want, which isn't just blowing up a bunch of missiles and degrading their capability. The objective of this war is supposed to be fundamental change in the Iranian regime. I don't think this is the path to achieving that.
Okay, we got a little more than 3 weeks before the 60-day war powers authorization on this conflict kicks in. But it appears that the administration is going to run out of money before it runs out of authorization. The White House is looking for $1.5 trillion in the next reconciliation package for the Pentagon. But even before that, they're asking for a $200 billion war supplemental. Republican Senator John Curtis of Utah certainly took me by surprise. I think a lot of people in Washington by surprise on Friday when he declared basically no authorization, no money. Tell us how you see this fiscal fight breaking down.
Yeah, I agree with Senator Curtis. And by the way, just to be 100% accurate, the only thing they've asked for to date is $1.15 trillion, which was in the budget that they released on Friday. They haven't yet put together a reconciliation package, and they haven't made a supplemental appropriations request. Those numbers you say are definitely what's been talked about, but it's not on the table. Look, this is another cost of this war. Driving up the costs of our military. This is an over 50% increase in the defense budget at a time when we have a debt that's at like $39 trillion. And also, as I keep pointing out, the Republicans cut taxes by like $4 trillion last year. If this is the priority that the president and some in his party say it is, then we ought to be willing to pay for it, and we ought to have congressional authorization for it. I think this war was a mistake, in large part because of the cost and also because of what we talked about earlier in terms of the military being able to achieve a strategic outcome. But if we're going to keep going, I think we ought to raise taxes and pay for it instead of just putting it on a credit card.
What about the idea of that that funding equals authorization? That basically you don't need an authorization if they can get the funding through, that's a de facto authorization.
Well, two things about that. I think it kind of is. I mean, if members of Congress are willing to vote to fund this war, I think it is. That's why I would not be willing to vote to fund this war. But from a strictly legal standpoint, it shouldn't be. Authorization is separate. Authorization is Congress approving the action, and then once you've approved the action, you have an obligation to pay for it. They should be separate, but I think you're right. As a practical matter, if they put out the full $1.5 trillion between base reconciliation and another $200 billion for a supplemental, and Congress votes for that, I think that does amount to approval of the war. Like I said, that's not where I'm at, so I would not be supportive of that because we just don't have a plan to get out of this better than where we were at getting into it.
Ranking Member Adam Smith, thank you for making time for us on Easter.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.